I often get comments or DMs from new gamers of all ages wondering if I have any recommendations for them if they're completely new to gaming and specifically new to the Nintendo Switch, of course. And first of all, thank you. I'm honored that you would ask me. But also, welcome to the wonderful, magical, fantastic, amazing world of gaming. I hope you'll stay a while, and here are my must-have recommendations if you're a new gamer to the Nintendo Switch, or even if you've had a Switch for a while. I think these are absolute staples to your gaming collection that a lot of people, I think, will really like. And for anyone else watching that might have recommendations that are beginner friendly, definitely leave them down below. And while you're down there, if you like this video, please consider liking this video and subscribing for even more gaming recommendations. I think a lot of the games that I recommend on my other lists are very beginner friendly as well. The common concern for people who reach out to me is that they might find games a little intimidating and want something a bit more approachable in terms of the gameplay and even the story, something really easy to get into. I'm really excited to hopefully be able to help you out with this because we were all new gamers at one point, and I still remember the time when I first really got into gaming, and fast forward years later, I'm still happily a part of it. Gaming is a huge part of my life and a huge part of my self-care routines. This will probably be relative to our own experiences, but I wanted to share games for the Switch today that are very similar to the games or are of the same franchise of games when I personally first got into gaming. How it started, my very first Nintendo handheld, and how it's going. This is my Switch Lite, which I've reshelled to a glacier blue because I do absolutely adore Game Boys to this day, and I still play retro gaming. For those that may not know, I play and collect retro games as well, but that can be a whole other video. Today, we're here for you. Quick pause for a quick word from this video's sponsor, buyee, a Japanese proxy service that lets you buy pretty much anything from Japan. If you are also a fan of Nintendo handhelds and other video gaming or geeky items like myself, you've probably looked into importing goodies that we can't get in Canada or the US. For me, it's the Japan exclusive games or consoles or figures. For example, this new Nintendo 3DS XL Super Famicom edition that looks like the original Super Famicom. It looks so good. This green DSi XL, I've been really into this color lately, and even better, retro handhelds like Pokemon Center exclusive Game Boys. Like, look at this, Torchic one. Why did we not get this? Nintendo of America. By using buyee, you get access to stores like Yahoo Japan Shopping and Yahoo Japan Auction, which is like the biggest online shopping platforms over there, and so much more. They help eliminate the potential language barrier, and of course, the not living in Japan part probably also helps. Buyee basically buys the items for you, gets them shipped over to their warehouse, and allows you to consolidate the multiple items into one shipment. If you sign up using my link below, you'll get 2,000 yen, that's about $20 off your first buyee purchase, which is so awesome, as well as access to other sales and coupons at the time. Yes, they didn't ask me to mention this, but I've actually used their service before. I might make another video on my little haul, maybe. Just a side note. Thank you again to buyee, and now back to the video. The very first game that I owned and played on my Game Boy Advance SP back in the day, it was Pokemon Fire Red, which is an updated version to Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow for the original Game Boy. And now Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee is another updated version for the Nintendo Switch, and the first Pokemon game that came to the Switch. It's the latest reimagining of the titles, basically the same characters, the same story, the same region, which is called Kanto, and it just stays true to the charm of what we fell in love with original games years ago. What they did with these two though is change one of the main mechanics of the game, which is how to catch the Pokemon, and made it like the Pokemon Go mobile game, since many new players discovered Pokemon through that game. I thought it was a nice way to introduce them to a mainline Pokemon game by giving them something that feels a bit more familiar. But in its core, it's very much still a Pokemon game, which follows a linear story perfect for beginners. You start off in your little town, you meet a Pokemon professor, and you're tasked with catching all the Pokemon you can catch to fill up the Pokédex. You battle gym leaders and basically train to be the very best Pokemon trainer there ever was. It is also a really nice starter game to the RPG genre if you are completely new to that as well. The next game I played and owned also on that GBA was Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town, now known as Story of Seasons, and there's a remake on the Switch called Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town. Still by the same game studios, long story about the name change, but what you need to know is that you want to get the Story of Seasons games today instead of the ones called Harvest Moon. But basically this is the farming game that birthed all farming games. Everyone's beloved Stardew Valley took inspiration from the original Harvest Moon Friends of Mineral Town and just breathed a whole new life to this beautiful farming sim genre. The new and improved one for the Nintendo Switch features new visuals and improved gameplay. It's definitely much easier to get into compared to the OG because I do remember it being definitely a bit more challenging, especially in the earlier stages of the game and you're just starting to get, your footing in this brand new farm life. But if you've never played a farming sim before, I'd recommend you start here. It's a very basic and straightforward premise. You inherit an old farm left to you by your grandfather. You're asked to bring it back to life and help it thrive once more with crops and farm animals. Of course, there's also the friendships you have to build with townspeople too, and eligible bachelors and bachelorettes you can also woo and eventually have a family with. Very easy gameplay, very laid back, relaxing, and the game that was my gateway for the whole relaxing video games for me. It's not really a Nintendo video if I don't mention the man himself, Mr. Mario. Super Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch is probably one of, if not my favorite Mario game of all time. I love 3D platformer games over the traditional side-scrolling platformer games. I was never really amazing at those, but what I love about Super Mario Odyssey is how much they opened up the gameplay like never before. You get to experience Mario in different worlds with different abilities and the most fun boss fights ever. He has basically his sidekick, which is his hat called Cappy, and it allows you to take control of different characters in the world. Besides it being great for new gamers and all ages, I think this is a staple title that you have to own if you own a Nintendo Switch. The bestest pink puff out there is Kirby, and another staple in all of my different Nintendo handhelds through the years. Kirby Star Allies is a really fun twist on it because you get to play alongside different characters that used to be Kirby's enemies but are now your allies. So you get to try out all these different abilities in a different way instead of just inhaling them and taking them in. And of course, Kirby is coming out with a new game this March called Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and it's another 3D platformer similar to Super Mario Odyssey but in Kirby's world, and I'm so excited for this, and one of definitely my most anticipated games of 2022. But again, if you're wanting to dive into a Kirby adventure now and you can't wait until March, something that is more similar to original Kirby side-scrolling adventures, I really liked Kirby Star Allies. The next two I'll mention, and I'll bounce back to Mario again, but the next two is not just great for single player but also for family fun. I think that's what's great about Nintendo is because it's perfect again for all ages. It's perfect for playing with your entire family, and Nintendo has been around in my family for as long as I can remember. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Party Superstars are staples in our family game nights. Mario Kart especially, I mean, it's like an arcade racer with all the different Nintendo characters and the most fun tracks ever. It is fast-paced, it is super fun, and I love experimenting with the different vehicle combinations. But both of these capture exactly exactly what I love about Nintendo, and that's just to be able to play it with your friends and family. Yoshi's Crafted World, another side-scrolling platformer. Any Yoshi games are a staple for me. I guess I should have started the video by saying that these are absolute staples for me. These are old faithfuls. Like, no matter what game they come out with, I will have the most fun, and I imagine I will continue to keep having fun with these games as well till I'm old and gray. What I love about Yoshi's Crafted World, besides the beautiful, colorful crafted world that you're in, is that you can play this with a friend, but also you can play the courses backwards and reverse. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake from the Game Boy game of the same name. If you've never played a Zelda game before, I would probably recommend you start here instead of Breath of the Wild, because even I had trouble with Breath of the Wild when I first played it. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening is like a top-down diorama style almost of a Zelda adventure, and the best way to experience the classic Zelda games that has been modernized but with all the same charms of the original game. Now, if you do want to try your hand in Breath of the Wild, if this was a different kind of Nintendo Switch recommendation video, I would have Breath of the Wild on one of the top games ever, but as a beginner it might be a little bit overwhelming. There's a whole lot of things to do in this game, and it's an open world and a non-linear game, so you're pretty much left to go set off and play the game how you want with not much of a guide on how to do it. So maybe Link's Awakening would be a better introduction to the Legend of Zelda world for you. Now, a game I discovered years later on the Nintendo DS is the franchise that has taken the world by storm when the Switch title came out, and that is Animal Crossing. I think what's so perfect about Animal Crossing, and especially New Horizons with the Getaway Island theme, is that it is basically your own little paradise. It is so relaxing to play, and it is a breath of fresh air to play in between more difficult titles as well. Maybe if you wanted to try out Breath of the Wild, get Animal Crossing to relax to afterward. You can play this game at your own pace and play how you want to play it. There are no stories to restrict you to play a certain way. There are no time limits. There's no real objective to the game that might put a pressure on you. You're just left to create and build and spend your time on this island however you want. Whether that's with fishing, going for a swim, maybe scuba diving, or digging up fossils to complete your museum. Maybe you want to plant beautiful gardens around and catch bugs. Or you love interior decorating so you can decorate your house to your heart's content. Decorate your whole island even. The Animal Crossing world is your oyster, and they expanded on it even more, especially with the most recent update that they had. And if you wanted to get the DLC, Happy Home Paradise, it is like a whole other game that focuses on that interior decorating and island planning that I was just talking about. But you get to do it over and over and over again, which is just gorgeous, stunning. If you like puzzles, and maybe you already play a few on your phone, I mean, this is the ultimate Nintendo puzzle game, and that is Tetris. I first played one of the oldest, I don't know if it's the first version of Tetris, but it was on the Famicom when I was a kid, and I was so hooked, and even my mom was hooked at the time. And I remember that we had to take turns and have like dedicated times because she really wanted to go on it, but I also wanted to go on it, and it's just so much fun. The most recent Tetris that came out for the Switch is Tetris Effect, and this adds such relaxing visual effects and music to the traditional Tetris gameplay. If you've never played it before, you basically get blocks of different shapes in random, and you have to fit them together to create a perfect line to keep clearing them at the bottom. Basically, the objective is that you don't let all the blocks touch the very top. And if you want a little bit more of a challenge, there is also the free to play Tetris 99. You do need a Nintendo Online membership for this one, but the game is free to play, and it's like a spin on Tetris where you verse 98 other players, 99 including yourself, and see who survives in this very intense battle royale version of Tetris. Again, a fun little challenge, like the complete opposite though of how relaxing Tetris Effect can be. For more puzzles, I really recommend something like Big Brain Academy. This was another favorite on the Nintendo DS along with Brain Age, and it is so good for all ages. It's got a lot of curated quizzes that focus on different areas of the brain, and it really encourages you to find out what areas you should work on more. If you're a fan of like word games or math games, Big Brain Academy is such a nice exercise for your mind and like a nice little challenge to get the gears in our brain going. You know, I'm someone who is a perpetual learner. I never want to stop learning about new things, and doing puzzles or different brain exercises like what you can find in Big Brain Academy is exactly what I need to keep my mind sharp. I find it's also so good for your general mental health as well. I also absolutely loved on my Nintendo DS the Professor Layton games, and on the Nintendo Switch we have Layton's Mystery Journey. It's the deluxe version of the 3DS game with the same name, and I think it's just a really fun murder, mystery, crime solving, point and click adventure. Obviously very easy to get into for beginners, and something that is just so nice for me to play at the end of a long day and just sink back, relax, and find out a little more about the story each day and crack some new cases. So hopefully these recommendations were helpful to a lot of you who are new gamers and new to the Nintendo Switch. I'd love to know, what has been the game that got you into gaming or got you curious and wanted to own a Switch? For me, again, it was probably Pokemon, although I've played other games on PC before owning my very first Nintendo console. It was Pokemon that really solidified my love for gaming and love for handheld gaming, which I still play with my Switch mostly on handheld to this day. So I just adore how those little things stay with us through the years, even to our adulthood. And anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.